Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Two Guys in a Movie. I'm Jim. This is
Jeff.
And we are reviewing Resident Evil Retribution. This is the 5th installment of the series. If you haven't seen the 6th, I would maybe pause this video and go check it out. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, we did a review of the 6th one.
For the opinions on that one, just go back to the other one.
Go to our other video and watch that.
I will caution you that there are spoilers. If you have not seen this film that was filmed in 2012, that was a while ago, guys. Get on it.
Yeah.
So basically, if you guys haven't seen the 4th one, we'll review the 4th one later on. But the 5th one, we're working our way back through 6th through the 1st one. So this one, Alice is trapped in an underground umbrella facility, and Albert Wesker, the villain in the 4th and the 3rd one, sends a team of video game characters to save Alice from the underground facility. That basically...
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a very simplistic plot, no twists and turns. It kind of goes the way exactly how you think it's going to go.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go through and give some of our likes and dislikes. I'll say one like, and then Jeff will go with another like, and we'll maybe discuss that for a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So my like, and it might have been one of your dislikes, I really like the beginning shot of the movie. It follows directly off of the 4th one, and it begins in a slow motion rewind, and it goes through where Alice is in the water. She comes flying out slowly onto the dock of the boat, and I really liked it. I don't think you liked it too much, did you?
I didn't care for it because it gets a little goofy.
Yeah, it does get a little goofy.
There's a couple scenes, especially where there's these like random test subjects from the 4th film. James had to tell me they're test subjects because I don't really remember the 4th film that much.
We'll watch it later on.
Yeah, I'll watch it again probably just for a review. But they're the soldiers that are trying to kill/capture them are using nets and just shooting at them. And you just see the bullets like leave their bodies, and they stand back up from their death poses, and it's some of the backward stuff looked kind of cool. That I thought was just flat out funny, and I actually laughed when that happened, which is not really a good sign to start off what's supposed to be a horror action movie. I would I was watching a video a while back, stating how Resident Evil kind of left the horror genre behind after the 2nd one. Films or games?
Films.
Okay, I was going to say, because the 3rd game, especially the 4th one, is pretty intense. But, films...
I would say they're more action than horror now. I mean, even with all the zombies...
They were always kind of like that, though. I mean, even the original one... It had a creepy atmosphere because it was an unknown facility and stuff like that. But it was action.
Yeah.
Once they got in there and Alice started realizing, I can actually, defeat zombies single-handedly, and I know all these super moves. Once she starts regaining her memory, it becomes a full-blown action movie.
So what did you like? We're going to move on because...
One of the things I did like was that the action scenes in this one weren't edited to death. They actually, it wasn't the greatest editing because there's still some issues, but you can actually get a good reference of where everybody is, where everybody's standing, what's actually going on. The only problem I have with the action scenes is Anderson likes to use slow-mo a lot when it's not necessary.
See, I think that was one of my favorite parts of this movie was the slow motion.
Slow motion.
I really liked seeing all the different intricate pieces of action slowed down. I mean, even the corny quarter shot where she has the buckshot filled with quarters. I don't know how the quarters from that distance would penetrate and kill the pilots of the aircraft. I think that was unrealistic, but I found it really entertaining.
Well, it's unrealistic, but we're talking about Resident Evil.
Right.
So
I'm a sucker for slow motion. You could film this whole movie in slow motion. I'd probably still watch it.
See, I couldn't. My slow motion, it has to be in small doses, and it has to show either something important, like the audience needs to see this, or it's like a narrow escape, like, oh, he almost grabbed her, or something like that. But there was, especially when there's the scene where she's getting out of, I think it's the Tokyo section of
in the
testing
hallway.
facility.
Yeah, in the hallway.
And she's running away from this mass group of zombies that are chasing her. And he goes to slow motion for no real reason, because they're nowhere near her. The doors are closing. You can clearly tell they're not going to make it, but it's still in slow motion.
Like I said, I could stand for slow motion throughout the entire thing. I mean,
yeah, I just can't.
Even with Jill going, "My name is Alice,"
I probably would have enjoyed it more with that.
Speaking of slow, this is one of the things that I really disliked. Was the beginning narration. There's a scene between, because it's the opening shot with the rewind, and then bookend. It has at the end of the introduction, it shows the actual fight scene in the actual beginning to end instead of the end to beginning. And in the middle is a 2-minute and 45-second explanation of all the other films in the series.
Yeah, and it almost goes like exactly Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just throws in a little bit from
the fourth one
that I can't remember what it's called.
Afterlife.
Afterlife,
yeah.
That's what it's called.
Afterlife.
And then it just mishmatches all of them, because Alice is like, oh, I have these powers and all this stuff, and it just kind of throws in scenes from various ones. And the one thing I hate about the narrations, that since he brought it up, is it gives you no reason to go back and watch any of the other films, because it pretty much just sums up what happened. This is where we're at. You don't have to watch the rest of them. That's pretty much what it says to me. And I know that we're talking about the fifth one, but the sixth one does this. And after watching this film, I have a whole new hatred for the sixth one, because I didn't realize how badly that changed everything until I rewatched Retribution.
So we might as well kick off into that. The final scene. Since we're talking about things that made us hate the sixth film a little bit more, the final scene in the fifth one is the thing that made me really despise the sixth one. And I'm glad I didn't watch the fifth one and then go see the sixth one, because I would have had a more scathing review of it. Because they leave you on the cliffhanger where all 5 of the main characters of the fifth one are on top of the White House, and it shows this it pans out to show the entire horde, and specifically it says that the Red Queen is trying to kill the last bastion of humanity, and Albert Wesker is trying to be the savior of the human race, along with Jill and Jill, Alice, and everybody else. And Wesker actually gives Alice back her abilities too in that scene, and that really angers me, because that the sixth is such a big departure from the fifth and the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's not even just a departure. It's like a complete reversal of roles. Because in the sixth one, spoilers for the sixth one.
We already told. Oh, yeah.
If spoilers, you haven't seen the sixth one,
pause it.
Don't watch the rest of, at least not this segment of the review.
Yeah, go watch the sixth one, then come back to us.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Albert Wesker is the villain again, along with Dr. Isaacs, who makes no appearance in this one.
No.
And the Red Queen is the hero.
In the sixth one.
She's in the sixth one, yeah.
Yeah.
She's trying to save the last bastion of humanity with the help of Alice.
Right.
But in this one, she's trying to destroy humanity. And Albert Wesker is trying to save it.
Yeah, and I don't know how Wesker goes from being a target of the Red Queen to working with her in the sixth one. I don't understand that. I don't know what happened between the fifth and the sixth in the story itself. Because Alice has a daughter in this film throughout the entire fifth film.
Well, it's not really her daughter. She kind of adopts her.
Clone adopts her.
It's the daughter of her clone, which we don't know if it's actually her biological daughter.
I doubt it.
It's probably not. It's probably just another clone that was given to her, because all these clones were in this facility to run simulation, so Umbrella could sell their simulated infections.
So for all intents and purposes, it is her daughter. She has this emotional bond with her, kind of grow throughout the entire thing, and then at the end of the sixth, or at the beginning of the sixth one, there's no reference to her at all. And the same goes for Jill, same goes for Ada, same goes for Leon, same goes for Luther, who they try and make this connection with Alice in the fifth one, and I think they fail trying to get that emotional bond. And I think
with her and the daughter?
No, with her and Luther.
Oh, her and Luther, okay.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of irrelevant throughout the entire series. Is Alice just doesn't have any emotional connection to anybody. I mean, even with Jill. Right. I mean, she has that thing at the end where Jill says, "Oh, I'm glad to have you back," and Alice is like, "I'm glad to have you back too." But there's really no kind of bond.
No,
because you don't see Jill for two movies.
Well, she makes an appearance at the end of the fourth one, if I remember. But she's evil at that point.
Yeah, you don't see Alice and Jill interact with each other.
Yeah, brainwashed by Umbrella.
And there's not even. Once Alice does realize that Jill is controlled by the Red Queen, you don't see any kind of conflict within Alice to say, "I have to get Jill back." I mean, that's kind of like icing on the cake at the end of the film, because she's like, "Oh, well, I have Jill back, but I would have probably killed Jill if I needed to."
Right. That's one problem with Alice as a character in general. There's really nothing to tag her down as human.
There's no.
If that sounds kind of strange, it is kind of strange.
There's no character growth, I think.
No, she's kind of like the Terminator.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just goes through and kills, and there's no emotional attachment. But it's kind of funny when in Terminator 2, you can get emotional attachment between John Connor and a machine.
Right.
But no character has that with Alice, and Alice is supposed to be a human being, even though she's part virus or whatever she's supposed to be part.
Well, I think the problem with Alice is you don't know exactly what she wants as a character. Wesker took away the T-virus at the beginning of the fourth film. Spoilers for that again, sorry. And she was glad because she said, "You gave me back my humanity." Yet, she didn't really complain about not being human in the first place. She wasn't. I mean, her goal was never to get her humanity back. Her goal, as far as I know, was to destroy Umbrella.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, just to destroy Umbrella, save whatever humanity is still left.
Right. And I don't get that there was any now we're kind of going over the broad movies 1 through 6, but I don't think there was any kind of resolution to Alice as a character. I don't think that she growed emotionally or as a character. She was kind of there. And I think there wasn't any there wasn't any kind of recurring characters at all to kind of help that either. And I think that's what the film franchise overall lacks, is that
there's nobody with Alice in the course of these films.
Yeah, they always come and go.
They come and go, or if you do see the same face, they're probably a clone that has no clue what the connection was that the previous clone had. Because if anything that this one movie has taught me is that everybody prior, Resident Evil 1 through 5, was probably a clone.
Anybody working for Umbrella.
Yeah, almost anybody working for Umbrella was clone. Which I don't know how you can sustain an organization that way.
Yeah, there's a scene where they explain that the testing facility is used to test the virus, And the one thing that kept going through my head was, after the testing is done, who resets the areas? Who cleans up every house, cleans up all the blood stains, cleans up all the car wrecks, all the plane crashes, all the abandoned strollers, because there's like 4 or 5 of them. And the other thing is, where do they get all the clothes for the clones? I mean, that's the other, like, how do they properly clothe these clones? Because you see them all naked in the cloning facility. They're not clothed.
Right.
So
it's a very inefficient way of test marketing your product to a consumer. I'll say that, at least like that.
Yeah, try some guinea pigs or something, or
you can just use a computer simulation.
Yeah,
Umbrella's got the technology to do it.
Or film the testing the first time and then don't ever do it again.
Yeah, I mean it's just very complicated, and it doesn't really belong in. If you compare it to the games, it doesn't belong in it at all.
Well, no, because it doesn't really belong in the film itself, the testing facility anyway, because they had Raccoon City and Resident Evil Apocalypse. That should have been their testing facility. That should have been, and the funny thing was they're trying to keep that under wraps. That's why they nuked the town, if I remember correctly, right?
Right, they were nuking it. Well, now they're keeping it under wraps, and they also didn't want it to get out.
Right. So if they're keeping
it
under wraps,
the sixth film contradicts that. But
but if they're trying to keep the event under wraps, why are they then going to go to China and say, "Hey, look what we did with this testing facility in Japan"? You know, why are they then going to go out and say, "Hey, look at this event that looks very similar to Raccoon City"?
When they could have just showed them what happened in Raccoon City.
Right.
I don't know.
So anyway,
it's poor writing. That's all it is.
We covered that. Jeff, was there anything else that you really liked or disliked about the film? I know for me, as you're thinking, the casting, I really liked that they were able to get so many characters from the video games. Ada Wong, Leon, Barry Burton, Jill again. I mean, they had Jill again. Wesker returned. Wesker.
This is probably the movie that has the most Resident Evil video game characters in it.
And yeah,
by far.
I really think Paul W.S. Anderson, to his credit, we were discussing this earlier, but I really think he has a appreciation for the video games in this film. Not the 6th one, definitely. But the 5th one, I think he really showed his appreciation for the films just by keeping all the characters pretty much how they looked in the video games.
Yeah, when you saw Leon, you knew it was Leon.
Oh, yeah.
When you saw Ada Wong, you knew it was Ada Wong.
Oh, yeah. And, even with Jill's blue suit and dyed hair. I mean, that was straight from the video game, too.
Yeah.
So, I like that. I liked all the action scenes were great compared to the 6th one by far.
Yeah, because like I said before, you can actually tell where everybody's standing, and you kind of get a much better picture of what's going on.
It was very campy. It was very kind of cheesy fighting.
But
the scene where Jill, or I keep calling her Jill, the scene where Alice kicks the clip into the head of the zombie. I like that. That was kind of funny, but
it's funny. There's a scene that I couldn't help but point it out, but there's a scene where 3 of the characters, Cleon.
You say Cleon?
Cleon. Sorry. Leon.
He's a psychic.
Leon and I can't remember the other 2 characters' names.
Barry?
Barry and
Luther?
Luther, that's it. They're all being attacked by a giant licker that drops down, and she shows up in a car and hits the licker with the vehicle. The licker goes flying through a glass window, and there's not a dent or scratch on this car.
Well, and the whole liquor thing was pretty anticlimactic anyway.
This thing shows up 3 times.
Yeah.
Each time gets taken out within 2 minutes, if not less than that, and that is it. Like, it just keeps coming up just to get pwned, and then it's over.
Yeah, it did not. It was not a very. I mean, it was bigger too than most of the liquors. It was about 3 or 4 times the size.
Yeah, it was a good size. Like size of an elephant or something like that. You know, it was a good sized liquor, but then it gets taken out in the easiest fashions each time, and it's just there's no sense to it, and there was no they break off into these tiny little cliches of aliens where the little girl gets taken by the liquor, and Alice, you know, against the wishes of the crew, goes out to find her, and he literally shoots a scene that looks just like Aliens, where she's walking down this corridor, the lights are flashing, it's foggy, it's dark, she's going in there to, you know, save this little girl from this beast, which is just like Aliens, which I know Anderson is a huge fan of Aliens, so I guess I'm not surprised.
If she had a flamethrower.
If she had a flamethrower, it'd be a blatant ripoff, but it almost is, because she goes there and the liquor has her suspended in this like cocoon thing. Don't know what that's about, but she.
Yeah, I never knew liquors to keep their victims. I mean, that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. But these movies, if nothing, don't explain anything. So she shows up, you know, shoots it in the brain a few times. It goes down. She saves her. That's all. Like me explaining that is about how long that scene was.
Yeah.
It took longer for her to get her out of the cocoon than it did for her to take down the liquor.
Well,
so,
and still it didn't.
And it didn't die.
That.
It came back again while they're in the cloning area, seeing all the clones. It shows up, and something gets dropped on it, and
a grenade.
A grenade gets dropped on it and blows up.
There was a cluster of grenades. Yeah.
Yeah, she throws a cluster of grenades at it, and it blows up. See, I barely paid attention. I was in and out of this movie because I'm not heavily invested in Alice as a character or where the plot was going, because it just kind of seemed, you know, it's like every other Resident Evil movie, and it just didn't hold my attention very well.
See, for me, I really enjoyed the film. I enjoyed. This is one of those films that I could watch over and over again just because of the fight scenes, because of the slow motion. It's one of those movies that I could play and then do something else as it's playing in the background.
Right, I can do that with a lot of movies too. Just this wouldn't be one of those.
Well, some movies will draw me in and kind of take more precedence than the thing that I'm trying to work on.
Right.
And I remember the first Resident Evil I loved so much because of that fact where I could build Magic the Gathering decks or do something in the background while watching that, and this is one of those same ones. And the final thing I want to touch on is the final battle between Jill Valentine,
and
Michelle Rodriguez's character. I don't know who she played as Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't.
As far as I know,
I don't remember her name, and I don't know if they even said her name in this movie.
I don't think they said her name, her actress's name. But that final battle, I think, was one of the best battles in that movie.
If not in any of the Resident Evils.
My cat's going to make another appearance, guys. If you're a fan of the cat, here he comes. But the thing about what I liked about it is it was a 3-on-2 battle. The two guys versus Michelle Rodriguez, and then Jill and Alice had their own kind of duel. And here he is. Cat, everybody. So yeah, I thought it was really fun. It had moments where it reminded me of Mortal Kombat, where it did the X-ray into what's breaking in your bones. It showed the heart slowly stop beating, and it was very cheesy kind of, but I enjoyed it immensely. Jeff, 1 through 10. Now remember, guys, we rated Resident Evil, the final chapter, we both rated it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that got
1 being awful, 10 being woohoo! So what would you give this 1 out of 10?
I'd give it like a 3.
A 3?
I'd give it like a 3. It's not something I'd watch again. I barely remembered it the first time I watched it. The only reason I watched it this time was we wanted to do a review of it. And I wanted to see how badly 6 had messed up. Because I'd watched some other reviews and was reminded of some things. I'm like, if that's true, I need to rewatch that movie. So that's why I wanted to rewatch it. So I have a whole new hatred for 6 that I didn't have before watching this movie. If nothing else, that's what I got out of this movie. was just how bad 6 was.
I'm kind of on the other spectrum. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Just because of the slow motion, the action scenes, the cat getting in the way apparently. But yeah, I really liked the casting, the callbacks to the video game characters, and kind of all that. Everything else. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I give it. About a 6 out of 10.
Give it a 6.
I'll give it a 6.
He gives it a 6. I give it a 3.
And we both gave the 6th one a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So guys, I think that will be the cat's trying to be more. That'll be that'll be it for this this review. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe below. Next, for Two Guys in a Movie will be. Actually, it's 2 guys, a cat, and a movie, apparently.
Yeah, because this cat has to show up in each one of these videos at some point. He has to make his cameo.
Yeah, his catio.
Yeah, his catio. He's got to make his catio.
We'll be reviewing Resident Evil Afterlife. We're going to go back with each edition and kind of build on our previous reviews as we go from 6 to 1. Alright, guys, this has been Jim.
And Jeff.
2 Guys in a Movie. Thanks, guys.